Hey y'all, I have a layout share from a Allison Davis class at Scrapbook Generation, and it is an ongoing class right now. I think it's 10 weeks, and it's called Pattern Paper Play, where you take your 6x6 paper pads and cut shapes and make layouts. So I just wanted to kind of show you the papers that I chose, or the paper pack. It was a 6x8, and it's by Bella Boulevard, and it's called Alex. And the reason I really like this one is because the colors were bright, and when you're piecing a lot of different patterns together, for me it's best if I just use like a white background, because I don't want it to get too busy looking. And so I really wanted the colors to pop, and I think this kind of accomplished the job. I don't know what year this came out, and I had to look and see what the name of this collection was, because I tore all my paper pads apart, and this was in my mail section of paper pads. So here is my finished layout. I don't want to give a whole lot of specific details on the sizes of things, because this is paid content, so I want to respect that. But I used the white background, and we made triangles and pieced them together to make a heart. And the longest, most time consuming about this layout was the stitching, because every triangle is stitched. Now, when you take one of Allison's classes, you get so many options in different ways to take the original sketch and to modify it. And you didn't have to do the stitching if you didn't want to. I love to stitch, so I did the stitching, and it got to be a little bit much, so I did it over several sections. Now, when I started stitching, I just used, and I've got a little pokey tool somewhere, but I just used a push pin, and I just started initially, making my own holes. And I started stitching, and I'm like, this is going to take forever, because I made my little back stitches so small. And I'd started over in here, and I'm like, well, that's a good thing, because that's where my photo's going to go. So I found something that had holes further apart, and this is what I do sometimes. This is a Amy Tangerine stitching template. I have several of these, and I just took this little notepad, because these were longer stitches, and I just laid them on my line, and I just started poking the holes so they were evenly spaced. And that's what I did with the rest of my layout. So I mean, if you want to do stitching, you don't need anything fancy. You just need some thread, something sharp to poke a hole, your needle, and something to put underneath it. Something cushiony. You could use a notebook, a magazine, something you don't mind poking little holes in. So I did the stitching, and I had recently purchased these chipboard titles at Joann. They're by Vicki Booten. And so one of them was Awesome. So I just took the Awesome, and then I took my Distress ink. It was, I believe it was this one, Hickory Smoke, and a little brush, and just on a piece of paper, and did my title, because it was white chipboard. And these are just some little foam thickers I had to do Dad. And then I punched out various shaped hearts, and spread them on my layout. And then I was so proud of myself because I do have color binders and I forget to look at my color binders. Now I have binders by designer or company. Like I have a Jen Hadfield, I have a Vicky Booten. But originally when I started, I did by colors. And I tend not to look at those. So I made a point and I pulled out my black color binder. And I found these little X's or pluses, so I added those. And then I also found these little word strips. So that tickled me that I actually used something out of that binder. And then for my little journal spot, this was from I believe it was a Crop and Create Delivered class that we had gotten with Paige Evans. And I had these leftover pieces of paper. And I love using these as labels. Some have a little design on them. And if you don't want the little design, you can just cover it up with an embellishment. And some of them don't. So I'm keeping these handy so I can use them up because they make perfect little journaling spots or cluster bases. So I was tickled that I used, I don't know who these word strips or these little X's and plus were from, but I used Bella Boulevard, Vicky Booten, and Paige Evans, plus some unknowns on there. That's a big deal for me. I popped up my photo and then just punched out and die cut some various heart shapes and did a little cluster here, 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 and here. And it didn't need a whole lot more because of all the colorful triangles and stitching really popped on the page. And I just think it's adorable how it turned out. So in the end, was it worth the stitching? Yes. Was it worth the stitching while I was doing it? I was huffing and puffing a little bit because I wanted to get this layout done. I'm going to do a little bit of journaling here. Write the date on it somewhere. I don't know if it's going to go up here or over here. But that is it. That is my layout. And it's a fun class. And I think, like, once they close out the class, you can't sign up for it at a later date. So if you're ever interested in doing one of their classes at Scrapbook Generation, because she teaches at Scrapbook and Cards Today too, and you can still purchase her class that she did last year, but through Scrapbook Generation, they kind of just shut it down once it's once the sign-up date is passed. So I'm looking forward to other shapes that we're going to do. But this is my first layout. I think tomorrow is like week 4. Always behind, but that's okay. I enjoyed it. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.